Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. This is the June 17th, 2024 episode 201. And this is a very, very special travel edition because not only am I traveling, I am actually en route right now. Don't worry, I am not driving, but I am the passenger in the vehicle of club owner, comic, and my good friend, Mr. Jim Perry, and we are going to do a combined podcast. So, Jim, how are you feeling right now?
Right now, I am changing lanes. What's up, my internets? How are you?
And by him changing lanes, he means his Tesla is automatically changing lanes on his behalf. Because this car seems to jerk us around a lot, is what I'm experiencing as a passenger in it. So we just had an incredible evening. So we drove out from Phoenix to Los Angeles because Jim got a guest spot at the Hollywood Improv, which he performed tonight. Did very well. And then right after that, we went over to the Comedy Store, and my gosh, did we see just an endless litany of celebrity comics, comedians, actors, and stuff. So I'm curious, Jim, who would you say of everybody we saw was like your most starstruck moment?
I saw Pauly Shore in the hallway at Comedy Store and took a photo with him, and I was pretty starstruck there. And then a very close second, I ran into Jeff Ross and got a picture with him. But man, we saw 10 very famous comics tonight.
Yeah, I would say, let's see, we saw Marcello
From Saturday Night Live with Michael Longfellow right now. Yep.
Yeah, Marcello. Jim saw Dane Cook and Kevin Nealon.
Whitney Cummings.
What's kind of funny is initially we went to the original room, but they weren't actually having any celebrities in there. It was kind of like an open mic. It was just a lot of comics doing 3-minute sets. Now, Jim is a lot more daring than me, and he saw that we could sort of sneak into the main room for their main show. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure the staff thought I had a kidney infection because I went to the bathroom, I think, like 10 times. They kept checking the other room, and then I found a table that emptied and kind of snuck away from Paul a little bit.
Which, I just took that as Jim didn't want to hang out with me. Which I can't blame you at all, because we have been sharing a car ride for it'll be 12 hours by tomorrow. So he came and got me out of the original room, and then we went to the main stage, and that's when we saw Marcello from Saturday Night Live, who was just absolutely killing it. I'd never seen like an extended stand-up set of his, but he was so funny. And then we went back to the original room, and we were just about to leave, and we're actually walking out the back. And as we walk out the back, we see a big black SUV pull into the back and just get out of the car. And who was that? Craig Robinson, who you might remember played Daryl in The Office. And as soon as we saw that, we're like, oh, I think Daryl's about to do a drop-in set in the original room where we just were sitting and about to leave. So we kind of just walked right back in. And next thing we know, now Craig Robinson is doing a drop-in set in the original room.
And it was late, and it's late, and there's only, 15 of us in there?
Yeah.
And they were just spitballing material, and it felt very, very intimate. It was really cool.
Yeah, and it's like any given night in Los Angeles. Here we are just at the Comedy Store, and again, just seeing celebrity comedian there, at 10, 11, midnight on a Monday night at the Comedy Store. So I would love to know, so what were your thoughts on some of the comedy you saw tonight? Was there anything that you saw, Jen, that was like inspirational or educational or that stood out to you?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, when you're doing comedy, you're almost looking at it from such a different perspective than compared to the average customer. So yeah, I was looking definitely at like joke formulas that I was noticing they were doing and act outs they were doing and just how they were, organizing their sets and the pausing. I mean, it was like going to a master class. I mean, and then seeing that many comics go up at that level of comedy, even though you could tell they were trying a lot of new stuff, and just, I mean, it was just so cool. It was amazing to me. All right, we saw Patton, or I did. I saw Patton Oswalt too at the Improv. I'm trying to think of all the people we saw. I mean, we saw so many people I can't remember them all.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see them all do comedy, but it was cool, even if we didn't get to see them do comedy, just to see them walk around. The only celebrities I actually saw do comedy was we also saw Kumail Nanjiani. Is that his name? Nyanji?
The Big Sick?
Yeah, from The Big Sick, and he was on Ghostbusters recently, and
I fist bumped him.
Yeah, I fist bumping too. He is very ripped. I was afraid he was gonna break my hand. So Jim asked me an interesting question. He said, "Does seeing all of those famous people on stage, does that encourage you or discourage you?"
By the way, before he answers this question, I thought it would completely motivate him and encourage him. And then, what was your answer?
No, it was pretty discouraging. I don't know. It's a difficult. Well, I'll tell you why it's difficult, because I see somebody like Marcello, who's probably half my age. He's probably in his mid to late 20s, who, is already on Saturday Night Live. He's already at a position now to where he can just walk into the Comedy Store and, go up onto the main stage. And he's like legitimately feeling it. He's so funny. He's so good. And, and I look at that and I go like, gosh, I'm not anywhere close to being in a position to be able to do that. And so that's why I go like, I look at that and it, to me, I perceive this gigantic chasm that I don't know if I'll ever be able to cross in the rest of my lifetime. At least that's how I perceive it. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to talk to Paul's fans because Paul doesn't listen to me. I saw a lot of comedy that was absolutely amazing, but I also know that, Paul, you, sir, have a skill set that can be doing that too. And just hoping that you get the confidence all the time to do it. But you know what? We're talking about all these celebrities in comedy. The real hero in the story tonight was we had gourmet pizza at the Comedy Store that cost us $133.
Yeah, go to the Comedy Store for the comedy, but do not go to the Comedy Store for the pizza. That pizza was so sad. That pizza needed a little comedy in its life. It was depressing. It was like thin. It was like the thinnest crust I've ever had, and it just looked like it was just thrown in a microwave. And anyway, let's not talk about the pizza. So anyway, but yeah, so that brings up an interesting point of, first of all, like my perception of myself as a comedian. I call myself a dreamer, right? And I'm always talking about this. There's sort of this line between where I'm at and my current reality. But if you have a dream or something that you want to accomplish, you're stretching for something that is outside of you and beyond yourself. And if it's a good, I don't want to say a good dream, if it's a very challenging dream, then there should be an element of almost impossibility to it. Otherwise, it's not, you're not really going for a dream. If it's something that's like, oh yeah, that would be so easy for me to do, well, then you're not really stretching your imagination. You're not really stretching yourself. You're not really challenging yourself to grow. But then it can also be incredibly discouraging to be like, man, I have this really big dream, but it just seems so far away. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, not really. I crushed at the Improv and I got signed today, so.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Major. big agents just came through. Like, dude, we saw your tight 10, in the lab on a Monday at 7 p.m. Jim signed with WMA. He's going to be starring in the next major motion picture coming out of Paramount. We actually drove by Paramount Pictures.
It was an amazing night. We both learned stuff, and we just got to digest it and also look for all the positive in it too. I thought it was just a great night.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, I had a blast, and I am I am aware that I have a little bit of neuroticism when it comes to, my view of myself and my confidence and my confidence in my ability to like move forward as a comedian and maybe start to get some of these bigger opportunities. But what's really cool, and I didn't actually really talk about this yesterday, was the midlife crisis comedy show that I did at the Tempe Improv, which is the exact same franchise that you performed at, the Hollywood Improv. That show went incredibly well.
Got to see it too, and you guys really got something going with that. I'm excited for you.
So I look at that, I'm going, well, I feel like with that show, I have a higher probability of potentially, getting an opportunity of, being on the main stage at the Hollywood Improv. Like if we start to do well at all the improvs, they're all a franchise and they all communicate with each other. And, if we have a successful show where we can sell tickets, then yeah.
They did have a big piano on the stage at the Improv. You could make that part of your act, right?
Yeah, what's funny about that is, the original room, they had that piano player in the original room as well. I had a friend who said, I actually know who hires those piano players, and they're always looking for someone. And I just said, well, yeah, but I want to do stand-up. I don't want to just get stuck behind the piano. And I'm like, is it the type of thing, if I'm getting hired to play the piano, they very much don't ever want me doing stand-up?
And think about the door guys. I mean, there's guys that get hired at the Comedy Store that do just security in the door, and then they end up going up. I mean, that's your way in, right? I mean, if you could do that, and then all of a sudden they start putting you up.
Well, that was the idea, but I ended up moving back to Arizona before I really had that opportunity. But yeah, I would say overall it was really cool just to be back in LA, to go back to the Comedy Store, go back to the Hollywood Improv, just sort of brush shoulders with some of those huge names, those people who have been doing it a long time and doing it in a very high level. So I am going to work on myself, Jim. I'm going to continue to hone my craft, but I'm also going to look a lot more at sort of this inner narrative that says, oh, you'll never be able to do that. You'll never be able to get to that level, to where I'm one of the main headliners on the main stage, totally crushing it on a Monday night. And that's something I can look at and work on to, be a little more consistent and deliberate on following my dreams.
Well, me and my new friends at Paramount will be waiting for you on the lot, buddy.
Yeah. That's really how things happen in this town, is you just happen to be friends with somebody who gets a big break, and then you just kind of ride their coattails.
See, we saw what's the guy's name? Austin Butler too. We saw.
Oh yeah. We were walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and they were having the premiere of that Bike Riders movie with Austin Butler, and so we saw him on the red carpet taking pictures in front of the step and repeat. So yeah, it was just a real celebrity stacked day for a June 17th random Monday, and just happened to be the Monday that Jim and I were heading out to Hollywood for his set. So anyway, very fun day, very cool day, and just fun to be surrounded by so much comedy and so much sort of legendary comedians, and the Comedy Store, which is legendary, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the Chinese Theater, the Dolby Theater, all of that. Jimmy Kimmel's studio was right there. And yeah, we packed all of that in just on a one-day trip in Hollywood. Now we're heading back to Phoenix, and good day overall, and a good reminder just to keep following the dreams, keep putting yourself in situations to see other people who are out there doing their dreams, and try to not be like me and allow it to be discouraging.
Amen.
That would be my takeaway. Any final words for this episode of the Paul Green Comedy Podcast, Jim?
One day at a time, brother. Peace and love, and let's keep grinding.
I love it. All right, everybody. So that is June 17th, 2024, episode 201 of the Paul Green Comedy Podcast, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, with comedian, club owner, booker, and friend Jim Perry, recapping our trip to Hollywood. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening, and I will check in with you tomorrow.
Bye.